I'm Jess Hartley, and for the last 15 years or so, I've been a professional novelist, role playing game writer, editor, and game developer. Most of my published work has been for White Wolf and the World of Darkness, but I've also had the pleasure of working on a variety of games, including Supernatural, the licensed product by Margaret Weiss Productions, and the Paranet Papers, which is one of the supplements for the Dresden Files by Evil Hat Productions. I am a avid LARPer and really love games of all sorts. I'm going to be guest GMing a session for Changeling The Lost, which is part of the New World of Darkness. I had the pleasure of being one of the core writers on that game, and also being a writer on most of the supplements for it. It's one of my favorite role-playing games, and I'm really excited to be bringing it to those who haven't had a chance to experience it yet, and a couple of the fans who already know about it. So I'm so excited to be a part of this project, having an opportunity to take something that has been a professional and recreational interest of mine for decades and have an opportunity to help people bring it into a therapeutic environment is just so exciting. And I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you and being a part of this project.
Oh
Hi,
my
thank
God,
you
I'm on
guys.
Twitch.
Yay! You're a
Oh,
Twitcher.
sorry, we're live.
That's okay. That's okay. Hi guys. I'm Jess Hartley. I'm going to be your guest GM for this evening, and I'm going to be leading you through a game called Changeling the Lost. I'm really excited about sharing with this with you. I know many of you have only played D&D before, and while D&D is a fantastic game with a lot of really cool applications, there are so many different tabletop role-playing games out there, and they vary not just in theme or rules and mechanics, but also in how they approach characters and how they approach role playing. And I think that that can be a very valuable tool to have in your toolbox, knowing that this game might be the best in this situation and this game might be the best in this situation. One of the things that I absolutely love about Changeling the Lost is the way that it looks at characters. In D&D and many other games, your characters are kind of defined by what you were born as, so your race, and what you learned how to do, your class, which is kind of the way that a lot of society looks at people's value, you know, kind of where you were born or what you were born as and what you learned how to do. Changeling is different in that it treats characters and looks at people as what happened to you, and that's your seeming or your kith, what happened to you and how it changed you, and then what that how that changed your outlook at the world, and how it made you approach things in the future. And that's your court. So you've got your 4 different seasonal courts, all with very different outlooks in the world. And I think that because the game right from the start looks at people, characters, differently, it can be a useful tool to have. Where D&D may be a hammer, Changeling might be a set of pliers, and sometimes that's what you need. So you guys have all chosen pre-generated characters, and we're going to start off. You are all members of a freehold, which is a community of changeling called Fire River. And the reason it's called that is there's a river that runs east-west through the town, and at sunset and sunrise every day, the colors from the sunset and the sunrise just make the river look like it's ablaze. The freehold is named after that. A few weeks ago, and you guys don't know this because your characters were being played by other people, but a few weeks ago, you were all hired to recover the scepter that is the symbol of the monarch of the freehold. So whoever has the scepter essentially becomes the ruler of the freehold for that season. And you all successfully recovered it, and you broke the curse, the dying curse of the winter monarch named Purdue, who had set a curse when the scepter was taken out of their hand, and it put the entire city under a freeze for a long time. And you are kind of heroes in town for that. Unfortunately, changelings, like people, have very short memories. So you probably got somebody bought you a beer at the bar and told you were a really great guy, and now you're back to being plain Joes again. But during the course of that adventure, you went to a goblin market to gather some information. And unfortunately, one of you let slip what the nature of your mission was, right in front of an information broker. And in order to keep the mission secret, you all made a promise to her that you would, within 2 weeks' time, come and do a favor for her. And this morning, all of your characters have received a missive. It's a piece of dark paper. It kind of smells fishy. Those of you who've had sushi before might recognize it as seaweed paper. And inside of it is just written, "It is time, Melusine." Melusine is the woman that you made the promise to. Now, you know that the Goblin Market, which is where Melusine's business and her home is in the hedge, which is the supernatural brambles that are between the mortal world and the world of the true fae. There are gateways that you can get into that will take you to it. And there are trods, which are established pathways that go from one location to another. You all would have experienced going in the hedge via trod before, and you would know that it's very, very dangerous to leave a trod, because once you step off that established pathway, the hedge can change at a moment's notice, and a pathway that a track that you thought you could get from here to there might lead you in someplace else entirely. So you've all been called on to turn in your favor, or to perform your favor for Melusine. You have a couple choices about how to get to her, assuming that you don't blow off this hobgoblin's favor that you've sworn to promise, sworn to complete. You would all know as changelings that sworn pacts have supernatural hold on you, and that very bad things can happen if you don't. In this particular case, the promise had something to do with your mobility. So you kind of get the feeling that if you're not moving to help her, you might not be moving much at all for a while. You have a couple of options. Are any of you going to refuse the message? No? Okay. So you have a couple options on getting to the Goblin Market. There's the pathway that you took out of the Goblin Market. There's a gate in the local city park that was how you got out, and you all know that once a gate has been opened like that, you can travel back through it just by going to it and touching it and spending a point of glamour, which is your supernatural power. You could do that. It'll require you getting down to the city park and going through the gateway. You can also try to open a gateway from where you are now. You do know, however, that the local freehold kind of frowns on opening gateways kind of willy-nilly, because once they've been opened, things that can get, the establishment of a place where things can get in also means that things can get out. And the freeholds are not really fond on letting the creatures that live in the hedge and the citizens that live in the hedge out into the freehold city. Or you could try to find a different gateway altogether, another one that has been established somewhere in the freehold. But it's really up to you. How would you like to proceed to the Goblin Market? Rickman, how are you getting there? Let's see, your character is Gray. How's Gray getting there today?
You probably look at the most sensible and safest option that he has to get there. Doesn't want any. There's no missteps on his part. Does he want
steps? Very precise, very precise. Well, he would know that the safest way to get there would be to travel through the city to the established gateway that literally opens in the middle of the goblin market. So you wouldn't have to even travel on a trod or that kind of thing. Assuming that you can pass safely through the city, you should be able to get there pretty safe. Let's see. Lou, how are you going to be getting there?
Through the known
gateway. So you're going to go to the city park too. Alicia, how is Sky getting there?
Sky kind of does what she wants when she wants.
Yeah, she does.
But, you know, she's always going to honor her role in getting things done. But Sky's in a hurry, so Sky's going to open up a gateway.
Okay, fantastic. So you would know to open up a gateway. All you need really is a doorway, an archway, even a reflective surface like a large mirror, anything that's big enough you can pass through. And you will go up to it and you will touch it and you'll spend a point of glamour, and you can find your glamour at the top of the second page of your character sheet. You'll see it says glamour 5 out of 10. That means you currently have 5 glamour and your pool will hold up to 10. You can gain more glamour in various and sundry ways. Sometimes making pledges will give you extra glamour. Sometimes witnessing humans experiencing really strong emotions will allow you to pull glamour off of them. And sometimes you can find things called goblin fruit in the hedge that you can consume, and they give you back a point of glamour. Sometimes they do other things too, but they're usually a pretty good source of glamour as well. So you have 5 active glamour. So you could go to, where do you think you'd like to find? Do you have maybe someplace in your apartment or?
Yeah, my mirror is important to me, and the way that I look now is something that I reflect on often. And so I would go into my bedroom where there is a full-length mirror and just pick my wing up and touch the mirror, the glass, I guess, as it's reflecting, and touch it and
okay. And then all you have to do after you spend the point of glamour is just ask it to let you in some way, or demand you let you in. You've got to verbalize that.
Sky would look in the mirror, touch it, and she would say, "Please let me pass. I have things to do."
Delightful, delightful. And the surface of the mirror shimmers and falls away. And what you see beyond it is a thick bramble, supernaturally thick. The vines in places are as large as tree trunks. And there is a small pathway outside of it. Looks like maybe at some point you've done this in the past to get somewhere. It's an established gateway. And go ahead and give me, let's see, roll me your wits plus, what would be appropriate here? How about your wits plus your weird? And your weird is again, also at the top of your second page of your character sheet. So
that's 2. Is it 1 dice per dot or per number?
Yes. So for your attributes and your skills, basically everything, when you've got a score in it, what I'm going to have you do with your dice pool is take those numbers, roll that many dice, and anything that comes up an 8, a 9, or a 10 is a success. If something comes up 10, it explodes, which means you get to not only count that as a success, but also roll it again and attempt to get more successes. And if you get another 10, you get to roll it again and count that as another success.
I got a 6 and I got a 10.
So, okay, so take your 10. So you got 1 success. Take your 10, roll it again.
That's a 2. No, that's an 8.
That's an 8. Okay, so you've got 2 successes. That's plenty. You know that this gate, this little pathway that's outside of your thing leads to a fairly major trod. And once you get on that trod, you're fairly safe to get where you need to be. So you can go ahead and do that. Okay. Let's see, who is left? Let's see. Karis, you're playing Pax. What are they going to do?
So Pax has been sort of sitting here lit the patchouli incense and kind of like going with that, Omi flow. They're not going
Nice.
they're going Omi flow.
Nice.
They're surrounded by their, element of sunflowers and ginger and
Nice.
birds of paradise, kind of trying to think of all the choices. Generally, PAX wants to do things that are not everybody else would do. They're a little countercultural, you know what I mean? They're kind of like,
Sure.
spirit, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, they really want to get back to their party, and get back to the stuff they,
Get this work done.
Get this done. Like, not a lot of guesswork here. So after some nice meditation and kind of like getting their groove on, they've decided they will just go through the known gate.
Fair enough. So you're going to go to the city park too.
Yeah,
And
a lot of us take a lot to get there, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what PAX does,
Yeah. Got it. Okay. And Matt, what about Rip? Oops.
Rip
Matt?
is sort of torn.
Oh, sorry. Go.
at
Okay.
this
Sorry. I
point
was.
right now.
Uh-huh.
Rip is sort of torn at this point. Rip is gonna take the long way. He's gonna walk to the known gate. He's gonna try to avoid as many eyes as possible.
Fair.
And doesn't want to cause any disturbances at this point. So he'll take the known gate.
Okay, fair. So the four of you are going to meet up at the in the city park, and you are like, oh, okay, cool. And you go towards the gate, which is set into a hedge wall, not the hedge, but a park hedge. And give me just a second here. I'll give you a picture of that so that you can see it. What did I do here? There we go. There you go. So that's in the Discord chat if you want to take a look at it. Now, this is exactly like you saw it a couple of weeks ago, and like you've seen it every time you've passed through this direction before, except it's always been standing open like this before, and this time it's not. This time it's shut, and in front of it is a small table. Well, it looks like a small table. It looks like a tiny, tiny table, but that's in part because the man that's sitting behind it is huge. He is every bit as big and broad as you are. You've seen him around the Freehold before. He's a great big ogre. He's part of the Summer Court, and so any of you who are Summer may have interacted with him a little bit more personally. His name is George, and he literally, like, when he's sitting down, his head is still like almost as tall as the top of this gate is. He's just a massive, massive being. You can't believe that other people at first glance are not staring at him, and then you remember that humans actually see your mask rather than your mane, and so they see still probably a pretty big guy sitting at a table, like he was waiting for somebody to come and play chess with him or something. And when he sees you guys kind of walking up, he kind of straightens himself up, like, okay, my people I'm going to interact with now. And he just kind of waits to see if you're going to try and come over to the gate itself.
Rip's just gonna continue to walk. Not even necessarily make eye contact with.
He sticks out an arm, and his arms are like just like on the floor. He can reach out like twice as tall as he is, it seems like. He basically blocks the gate with one arm. Wait, this George is setting up a new business. George has permission by the Freehold. New business. George is a businessman now. Oh, wait.
Rip doesn't care.
You must you must give me 1 glamour or beat me at arm wrestling. This is my business.
Oh. Is this what the table's for, to sort of arm wrestle here?
Yeah. The table between the two of you, this table looks like a miniature dollhouse table. I mean, you're like wondering how you can even get your elbows both on it. But that seems to be his intent.
I guess here's my question. Here's my George, right?
George.
What if I don't want to do either? And I just continue to walk past you?
Then George will stop you. That's George's business.
Then George will have to stop me, and I'm going to try to continue to walk through.
Okay. Before we break out into combat.
Can I? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I because I'm noticing here, can I try to and if I get this wrong, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I'm looking
We're
at
all
Rip's
learning.
sheet. It has something known as creeping dread.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to spend a glamour and sort of cast that?
Yeah, definitely. So your contracts,
okay,
are at the bottom of your second page of your character sheet, are basically your supernatural powers that are unique to your character. I've kind of taken some liberty with these. If you were playing a hardcore, like straight out of the book, play as written game, you guys wouldn't have at such a low level, you wouldn't have access to all of these, but I wanted to kind of pick and choose ones that would be fun for you. And that might have an opportunity to come up during the little plot that we're going to be running for the evening. So just be aware that if you were making characters by the book, wouldn't necessarily have these, and you have to like buy them in sequential order. Whereas I've kind of like, there's no sense me putting 1 and 2 on your character sheet if they're not going to be things you use, but 3 is. So I just kind of handpicked out some fun things for you. But yes, you definitely can do that. So what you're going to do, that it's Creeping Dread is an instant action. Almost all contracts are, which means you can do that and move during the course of your round. You can either spend a glamour or activate the catch. So if the catch is something that you can do or have done, then you don't have to spend the glamour for it. It's basically a free pass to using that power. In this case, the catch is use it to scare folks into the changeling's home, which you are not doing. So you're going to go ahead and spend a point of glamour, and you're going to roll manipulation plus weird. So your weird is 1.
That is 1 and 1.
Okay, so you're going to roll 2 dice, and we're going to subtract that from the target's resolve, which is right over here. Oh, wait, no, I actually wrote his down so that I didn't have to go searching in the book, which is lovely. There we go. There's George.
So I got a 10 and a 3.
Okay, so your 10 is a success. The 3 is not, but the 10 goes again. So you get to count that as a success and roll again. Also, something I forgot to do last time, I want to make sure and do. Your characters underneath your description, but before you get to your attributes, they have a curse, a blessing, a curse, and a talent. So those are things that are unique to your characters, seeming, kith, and court, or seeming and kith. And there's 2 good things and 1 negative thing. So in this case, Rip has the ability to spend glamour to improve strength, brawl, and intimidate. He doesn't get to his rolls don't explode when he's using composure other than perception, and he gets an 8 again on wits-based perception rolls because he's a cyclopean. So they're the kind of fee fi fo fum type giant characters, and they have very, very good, often scent, sometimes sight, that kind of thing. So none of those really apply right now, but George has a resolve of 4, so I'm going to, whoops.
I got another 10.
Oh, that's awesome. They keep exploding. So you now have 2 successes and get to roll it again.
Okay, it's a 3.
It's a 3. Okay, so you have 2 successes and I'm going to roll his 4 dice, and I got 1 success. So that contract works perfectly. And what does it do? He feels feared and gets your weird as a penalty to all resolve or composure rolls for the rest of the scene. There is, so this creeping dread has 2 different kind of ways you can do it. You can either do it against a specific target or against everyone in the area. I'm assuming that you probably just wanted to do it on him, but if that's wrong, correct me.
Nope.
Okay.
Was just looking at George.
Okay, so George kind of shudders, and he's like, "But I mean, we could arm wrestle later when you come back." Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Fine.
You can go through. But, and he points at Pax, you have to arm wrestle me. Or give me glamour. Give George glamour.
Oh, wow. George, dude, like, man, like, come on. Here's a sunflower. Peace.
That am not glamour.
But what?
That am not glamour.
That's not glamour?
No.
Oh, but they're so pretty, these sunflowers, and they're so peaceful. And okay, so what happens when I give up a glamour to George?
Well, okay, so before we go there, because you're already doing this kind of manipulation kind of thing, let's see if maybe you can convince George about the sunflower being as good as glamour.
Okay.
Because you'd already kind of started that. So, Pax, they have a let's see. Oh, wonderful! Because they are a fairist, they can spend their seeming blessing is spending glamour to add to dice or add to pools involving presence, manipulation, and persuasion. This seems like a manipulation situation to me, and I'm going to say probably manipulation plus socialize. Does that seem fair? Because you're kind of socializing with them.
Sure.
Okay, so you're going to roll that, and we'll see how you do based on how many successes you get, how willing George is willing to do this. So what you're going to do is roll however many dice you have for your manipulation score, okay, plus however many dice you have for your socialized score, which is in your social skills. And then if you have a specialization that directly applies to it, in this case, he has a specialization of alternative cultures. George isn't really part of an alternative culture. That'd be more like humans who are part of, non-mainstream cultures. So you're going to roll a total of 6 dice and tell me how many successes you get.
So let's see. I got 1 9.
Fantastic.
Oh, I got 2 9s.
Ooh, wonderful. Is that a total for your 6 dice?
Yes.
Wonderful. So you got 2 successes. George is like, sunflower's pretty. George liked the smell. Also, can eat it.
Yeah, they're really good for you. Like,
Okay.
totally will clear up that skin situation you got going and make you
George
really,
has skin
really
situation?
well, make you really handsome for the lady types or the man types or the non-binary types, depending on what like is your thing. This sunflower is going to seriously hook you up.
Sunflower hook me up?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take sunflower. And then he allows Pax to pass through, and he turns to Lou.
Lou would have been stealthing.
Oh, Lou is very sneaky. Take advantage of the fact that George is focusing on Rip and Pax. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Okay, so is he gonna? Are they? Sorry, there we go. Lou, is she going to attempt to sneak through the gate while the other 2 are distracting him?
Most
Fantastic. Okay, why don't you give me a dexterity plus stealth? And in this case, because you're in a city park and there are trees and grass and that kind of thing around, your specialization of nature will apply. So you're going to roll me whatever your score is plus 1 extra for your specialization.
That's 6.
And let me double check. Okay, yeah, that your blessings don't directly factor into that. So how many successes do you get on your 6 dice?
1, 2, 3. 3 successes.
He's very distracted, and to be honest, he's not really observant and on his best day. So yeah, you scoot right through that and are able to just find a little cubby area just on the other side of the hedge, that where you can just kind of hang out and watch the rest of what's going on, but you're safely through the gates. Which brings us to Rickman. What is Gray going to do?
So I look at George, deep side. George, why would you want to arm wrestle? Haven't you heard how dangerous arm wrestling is? I mean, you could break your arm. And I'm gonna start going into like really gruesome details about that, and do the tales of the Baba Yaga. Just go, you're gonna get hurt. I mean,
he's already spooked because of what Rip did earlier. So
right. So I'm gonna point to some blood on my apron. I'm like, see, this came from someone who totally broke their arm. Blood went everywhere. Their bone pierced. Trust me, you need to why don't you just go home and maybe rethink your decision on arm wrestling? Find a safer job.
Okay. Okay, so let's try and activate that Tales of Baba Yaga. So you're not really invoking the catch because you're not really doing something based on like an urban myth or that kind of thing. So you're going to spend a glamour. And
I mean, arm wrestling is technically a little bit of an actual threat for, bones piercing, but not.
Oh, sure. No, that totally makes sense. That I'm totally
not
willing
trying to,
no,
game the
hey, no. We play catches are fun, and we play them up because they're really fun. So that is completely within the spirit of the game. Go for it.
So I don't have to spend a glamour to.
Don't have to spend a glamour. You're going to roll your manipulation plus intimidation.
Yes.
And okay, double check that. We're going against the subject's highest composure, and he's only got 2 dots in composure. And I'm going to actually erase one of them because he's already freaked out from Rip stuff. So
yeah, the creeping dread that makes that penalty. Yeah.
And he didn't get a single success.
Okay.
Did you get any?
I've got 2. One's a 10, one's a 9. So
nice.
I'll roll
your 10 again. Yeah.
Another 10.
Wow. Okay, keep going.
And then just a 5. So 3 successes.
3 successes. Man, George just turns pale white. Like his skin is kind of the color of stone naturally. In fact, it looks a whole lot like stone, but all of a sudden it looks more like marble. He's just like, I didn't know that. No, what?
Messy business, arm wrestling.
George has to think about this. And he reaches down, he tucks the table under his arm. And you can tell by looking at it, it's probably the size of a good sized dining room table. But, it still looks minuscule underneath him. He's like, thank you for the warning.
Just trying to make you safe, George. Just be safe.
Yeah, George is going home now. You guys have successfully managed to just completely freak out this Stone Bones ogre who is, he's big and bad and fierce, and you've just turned him into this crumbling pebble of a creature now. And he skedaddles off, leaving you. The 3 of you are this side ready to walk through. Lou is already gone through. And that brings us back to Sky. Sky, I would like for you to roll me to travel through the hedge. Uno momento.
Mm-hmm.
I did not happen to jot down what the traveling through the hedge. Navigating. Okay, fantastic. What I am going to have you do is not leaving the hedge. There we go. Sorry about this, folks. Okay, roll me intelligence plus survival.
1, 2.
And if you have any appropriate travel or hedge related
2.
benefits.
That's 5. Let me check real quick.
Animal kin, presence.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there's anything additional.
But technically, you are on your way at least to a job, and I think I'm going to give you that survival or that specialization in survival that is comes into play when you're on a job.
On job.
Yeah, they're calling in a favor. You're on your way to find out what it is. So go ahead and add that extra dice in for that. And die in for that.
1, 2. You said 8 and above is a success?
Mm-hmm. And 10s you get to reroll.
Okay, so I have nothing except an 8. I have 1 8 and 1 10 out of the 6 dice, so I get to reroll the 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you've got 2 successes plus you get to reroll the 10.
And it's both successes are an 8.
Oh, fantastic. So maybe I didn't communicate it clearly. So when you get, if you got an 8 and a 10, you get to reroll the 10, but not the 8.
But it was, the 10 was an 8. So there's
okay. So
2
you got
successes.
But you got
3,
2,
yeah.
3. There we go. Yeah. Sorry.
So many dice.
It's kind of harder to explain this, like when you're not, like you can't see the dice too. So if it gets a little jumbly, don't worry about it all. We'll get it all figured out. So fantastic. You kind of you climb maybe to the top of a hedge spot here where you can get kind of safe, and you're able to catch some updrafts and just kind of glide along this trod, and it's really, really cool. Underneath you can see, things are lush and thick, but also kind of scary and shadowy, and you kind of feel grateful that you're up here where things are a little bit more in your control. Occasionally you'll see a hedge beast or a hobgoblin, the things that live here in the hedge, but nothing up here seems to be very dangerous. You see down below you, there's like this scuttling insecty thing that's probably about the size of a German Shepherd, and it pounces on something that looks like a plant but is actually hopping kind of like a rabbit, and just it turns into just bloody carnage all over the pathway beneath you. But you're able to just breeze right past it and make your way to the goblin market, and you arrive just about the same time that these folks come through the hedge. And so what you see when you step through the gateway, or when you arrive at the outskirts of the goblin market, is there's probably about 20 buildings, but they're calling them all buildings would be a little bit generous. Some of them are simply lean-tos, or temporary tents that have been put up, like you might see at like a simple farmer's market or that kind of thing. Some of them have stone small huts behind them that look like they're maybe where a merchant permanently lives, with a little shop front out front. Strangely enough, on one edge of the market, you see what appears to be a broken down 1970s-ish Volkswagen van. The front hood has been popped open, and you can see that there's no engine in it anymore. There's just kind of some like, looks like maybe ivy or something growing out of it. It's very, very eclectic, to say the least. And if you look back at the archway that you've come through, as soon as you look forward to the goblin market, when you look back, you can see the other side of the Goblin Market through the archway. You no longer see the city park that was there just a second ago when you came through. Let me see if I can pull up for you guys the picture of the Goblin Market just for funsies. There we go. And I'm going to pop that right into the cohort thing for you. There you go. And there are all manners of different merchants for sale. Some people seem to be selling goblin fruits of different kinds and different hedge creatures that have been butchered for consumption or are in cages, captive. There is a large banner that says, "You know, we go." And there's a little creature that maybe 3 feet tall, little hob in there. He's got 4 arms, and his vest kind of goes over to so that they can cut for all of them to have mobility. And as you pass by, he's actively trying to convince you to come over and use his services. You know where to go. We go. I take you there. I take you anywhere in the hedge. Safest hedge guide in entire market. In entire hedge. We go safe. You can see there's some places that are they're selling just little oddments like little cups and pipes and what looks to be thorns from the hedge. Outside of the Volkswagen van, there's a rack and there's just beautiful clothing hanging, like kind of like you'd see a roadside stand selling rugs or banners or sweatshirts or that kind of thing. But it's just absolutely beautiful stuff. You can tell that this is definitely enchanted clothing. And then across the way, you see Melusine's place, which is one of the small stone buildings that has a stall out in front of it. The stall itself has about a half wall around it to kind of enclose it and keep breezes from coming in underneath it. But the strange thing about Melusine's place, and you remember this from last time you were there, is there's nothing on the shelves because she deals in information, and there's no stock there. Strangely enough, she still seems to have just a stall set up though, as if she'd taken over somebody else's or that kind of thing. So where would you like to go first? What would you like to look at first?
Rip would just sort of go right to Melusine. I don't want to say it wrong.
Melusine. Yeah.
Would just go right to them.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Is anybody else going anywhere else, or are you guys all going to go to Melusine's together?
Are we a team, or are we all on our own?
You were a team when you were hired in for your last job, and you kind of got yourself into this together. So for the purposes of the game, it would probably be better from a storyteller's perspective to probably be better, being so we don't have a whole lot of time to split up and go different directions and that kind of thing. It'd probably be better if you kind of found a reason for your characters to be willing to at least pay off this debt together, because it's probably safer than trying to do it separately.
Sky will follow.
Fantastic. Is anybody not going to Melusine's?
So Pax is going. Yet Pax is having this moment about the van. Like, seriously. That is all up Pax's alley.
Okay.
Probably where Pax is partied, probably, there's something familiar about the colors and the flower power written on the side and the vines growing out of it. So Pax is having a moment.
Sure. So you're at least kind of looking over there as you're
I'm looking and having a moment. And if anybody's looking, my one green eye is kind of tearing. The blue eye's okay, but the green eye is kind of tearing. And yeah, but I'm going with the rest of the team. But
okay. Fantastic. Would you mind for Pax rolling me. So we're going to roll a perception check, which is your wits plus your composure. Whoops, I think you're muted, Karis.
So I have to kind of do them. So I got 1 9. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. One more. 1 9.
Fantastic. So as you're looking over there, you kind of see something moving in the back of it, and it looks like whatever it is big and kind of bulbous in shape, but it's got a really, really long leg that you kind of see as it's moving through. You can only just kind of see it through the windows, but it's vaguely arachnid in shape, but it fits inside the van, barely.
Oh, that's lovely. I might all be into my flowers and stuff. Like I'm all like the flower power kind of person. But spiders are seriously not my thing. So I'm like turning right around with the gang and going over to Millicent's.
100%.
That was a lovely moment. Thank you.
So I'm going to step out of game for a second and check in with Karis. Karis, are you as a person arachnophobic? So would it'd be better for you if we just kind of put something else in there, because we didn't get a chance to go through session 0 and talk about anybody's hard limits or that kind of thing.
Not to the level where it can't be talked about as long
as
they're not literally here. I'm okay.
Yeah. No problem. This was not a vital part of the story. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't freaking you out. So, okay, fantastic. So you guys go to Millicent's. Millicent is in her stall. She is in the wheelchair that she was in when you guys last approached her, and she looks very pleased to see you. She's like, "Oh, my good friends with the loose tongues. It's so wonderful to see you again. Thank you for responding so quickly to my message. I'm so grateful. I just have the tiniest of tasks, and I would be so grateful. And if you would perform this for me, it will clear our debt completely. I have something that I've heard word of." And she takes a very careful look around, and you probably notice that the part of the reason why her shop is so big, and despite not having anything in it, is there's not really a way for anybody to get in earshot of where she is without coming into the shop area itself. It kind of provides her a little buffer. So she checks around just to make sure that nobody's, hanging out at the wall, eavesdropping. But she says, there's an item which was recently stolen taken off a body by some birds, and rumor has it that it's nesting in, she looks around carefully, the Black Orchard. I just want you to get it back for me. It's a simple little locket. I have a map to the orchard if you haven't been there before.
Why does this not sound simple?
Oh, it's very simple. Go to the orchard, get the locket from the birds, bring it back to me. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at traveling through the hedge myself. The wheels just don't suit well for it. And obviously, I can't climb trees or cover rough terrain.
Sky would look at herself as she says the word birds and nesting, since Sky is quite much looks quite much like a bird, a very cute little bird, but nonetheless, I'm a bird. And she would ask Millicene, do you know any more about this locket, or this why these birds have it?
Well, they like shiny things. The rumor that I obtained was that the people who came upon the unfortunate victim chased off a number of large crows, and amongst them, they assume was the crows had been picking everything shiny off of the corpse, some buttons, jewelry, and this locket. And I don't care about any of the rest of it, but I have a vested interest in obtaining the locket.
What might that interest be?
Well, I am happy to part with that information if you'd like to make an exchange for it.
What kind of exchange?
You could give me a tidbit, a piece of information, perhaps a secret, a memory, a dream, something I can barter. I'm a very, very open-minded merchant.
There was a man named George who tried to block us. Is that enough information?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone would need that information.
Well, not anymore. I think he's gone. I think we made him,
So you tried to
run away.
trade me something that you knew was invalid?
Well, I don't know exactly what you're looking for.
Well, let's see. What have I been asked for recently? Let's see. A memory of your first love, a memory of the first time you cried because someone had hurt your feelings. The last dream you had.
How about my first failure?
Your first failure? That sounds like a delightful bargaining chip. I would be happy to exchange for you the nature of the locket and why I desire it for the memory of your first failure. Would that be acceptable to you?
Sure. Why
Okay.
not?
So changelings have the ability to enter into weird bound, supernaturally bound promises with one another. It's a way of ensuring that they can work together and don't betray each other. It also is a way of bolstering themselves. Sometimes changelings will form what's called motleys, where they make a promise together to protect each other or to at least not do any harm to each other, kind of like a gang or a family. But they can be used for a broad variety of different things. And Melusine will create a very simple pledge where very standard kind of merchant contract wherein she will exchange information about the nature of this locket and her reasons for wanting it in exchange for Rip's memory of his first failure. And if he agrees to that, then they shake hands on it and the weird seals the bargain. Both parties can feel that bargain has been sealed. She goes on to explain. So the locket is called for goodness sakes, the low water locket. And some people use it because it will allow them to breathe underwater. I myself am more interested in its other ability. And she kind of rolls back a little bit in her chair and she flips aside the blanket that's been across her lap. And you see from the waist down, she's a fish. And she says, it will allow me to walk on land for a time, which I think you could understand would be a great benefit to my business. Satisfactory?
More so than.
And as you say that, as soon as you speak in the affirmative about it, you realize you can't remember what you traded her. I mean, you could remember that it was your first failure, but for the life of you, you can't remember what it was or why it was your failure. It's just gone. And she kind of straightens and kind of rubs her hands together. And in her hands, there's when she opens them up, there's a tiny pearl. And that pearl, she sticks in a bag around her neck. She says, thank you very much for the bargain. Is there any other information I can provide for you other than the map?
That satisfies my knowledge, or what I'm looking for. I don't know about the rest of you.
Can I ask a question out of game real quick?
Of course.
So in that scene, is that a trait that the memory, if that was the bargain, if we were playing a long story, would that scene require the individuals to share something personal of the character, or is it like that cut scene where you do the bargain and then you just move right through into the cut scene?
Oh, you could do it either way, depending upon how your players feel comfortable sharing things about their characters, how well they fleshed out their characters. Sometimes, one player might be like, oh yeah, and I really want to share this because I have this cool background and I think that my character's first failure was this thing that happened, and I really want to talk about it, and this is why my character sees that it was a failure and this is what it means to him. But if the player seems more comfortable with just being like, okay, that's like fade to black, I'm not really interested in delving into what my character's first failure was, that's fine too. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. Changeling thematically is just very, very flexible in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. And anytime, if you guys, this open offer, if any of you guys have any questions out of game, I want not just to run you guys through this scenario, but I want to share knowledge with you so that you leave this game session with more information and understanding about what Changeling is and how it might be used as a therapeutic tool. So please feel free at any point that supersedes what we're doing in character for me. So, because that's really what you're going to take away and have be useful, not necessarily, what Rip's first failure was. Although I'm curious. Okay, so would you like?
I'm sorry. I have a question on the vision of strife. When casting a contract like that, would the other person be aware it's being cast or being presented as?
Not normally. You might run into situations, and I'm riffing on this because I can't remember exact wording on the rules. The way that we've always played it is contracts and things like that are not designed to be. They're designed to be subtle, and many of them would not be useful if they had a visual aspect, or if the victim knew that a contract had been used on them, because like when Rip used the one about fear, when you used the one about fear, if
Right.
the person knew, hi Holiday, if the person knew that that they were being affected by a contract, they might be able to shrug it off and not have it feel as real to them. So for the most part, unless they were maybe a very, very high level weird changeling, which weird is the score that affects how fey your changeling character is. So starting characters start with 1, and it controls how much glamour you can spend in a turn, what your total glamour pool can be, that kind of thing. And as you get higher and higher weird, you get essentially closer and closer to becoming a true fey. True fey are like, they have basically the most amount of weird that you can have. So for the most part, yeah, you can pretty much assume that they're not going to know that something has been done to them unless they're just super, super duper powerful changelings or true fae.
Okay. And then in that moment, as she was discussing and showing her tail, I would like to have used the vision of strife.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Would activate, I believe, the catch being she's talking about her past and about her tail experience.
Mm-hmm.
Gray's thinking, I want collateral on you for now having our,
having a little
yeah.
yeah,
So
no, that's great.
Done. So you
That's
won't have it on us, but we'll have something on you.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, fantastic. So roll me your weird plus your empathy.
Just 1/8.
Okay, so get a brief vision of the most traumatic and harmful event that happened to the target. Strangely enough, the vision that you get has nothing to do with her tail. There is a you get a flash of a young girl being dragged under the water by her hair, like she was leaning over looking in the water, and a like a hand with webbed fingers and like a fin down its forearm reaches up, grabs a handful of her hair, and yanks her into the river. And you can feel that she can't breathe. And that's the vision that you get.
Okay. Gray just kind of like pockets that idea in his head, kind of thinking, we've got collateral. You have information you don't want to be told, but now we've got information. So
very good, very good, very good. Okay. Anybody else like to do anything before you take the map?
So Pax is Pax. Pax is just at the same time. Pax is a little concerned about how the locket got with the person, and the person is dead, and the birds picked on that person because, Pax,
that sounds like it might be problematic.
It's a little bit of a problem. It's I don't want us to be like pecked to death when we get the locket or have any other untoward thing happen. So I have some curiosity about the person who had the locket, who is now dead.
Okay, so are you going to address that question to Melisy?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to just leave it at that general summary, or would you like to actually speak the words that you're going to speak to her?
I can speak the words. So Melisine, I just want to check in here. I like helping people. It's all groovy and so copacetic. Oh, by the way, did I give you a sunflower? Here's your sunflower.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I love giving out sunflowers because they just pop up back on me. As soon as I give one away, a new one kind of grows out of me. So, but I'm really curious. We want to help you out. We want to be safe. Can you tell us a little bit about how the corpse, like, first of all, that it got the locket, and that we won't be in danger of being pecked to death if we get the locket for you. Want to be able to bring it back to you. We can if we're going to get pecked to death. Let me just say.
Oh, yes, yeah. Of course, that makes sense. Unfortunately, I don't know that information. I only know the rumors that were passed along to me. Luckily, I knew where the Black Orchard was, and we've been able to extrapolate that that's the most likely place for these crows to be nesting, because they're generally that we know that there is a colony of these crows there. I don't know who the individual was. Rumor has it they were a traveler coming through from one freehold to the next. I don't know what happened to them. The rumors came from people who talked to the people who found the corpse. So all I have is this kind of third-hand information about it. But they described the locket, which is it's about this big around, opens up into two halves. It's gold, and there is excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry about that. There is inset into it on each side of the locket a very large aquamarine. And when I got that information, the people who brought me that rumor didn't even know what it was, but I was able to then track down information about what it was and identify. It could be entirely wrong. I could be bargaining away my favor with you all as on a cheap piece of costume jewelry, because I don't have any way to actually confirm that the locket that they saw was the locket that I was able to research and discover that was actually the low water locket. I wish I had more information for you. I do know that the birds are very big, but they also are rumored to hunt during the daytime. So if you're able to go into the orchard and find it while they're out hunting, then chances are you won't even have to deal with them. They nest at night, so.
All right, copacetic, copacetic. Groovy Millicents, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Or
Anything I
Millicene,
can do
sorry, my
to.
bad.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Any other information? Well, here's the map with directions to the Black Orchard. The trod there is it might be slightly overgrown because since the crows began nesting there, it used to be a spot where merchants from here in the Goblin Market raised hedge fruit, and they trees and shrubs and things like that. But when the carrion crows began nesting there, it just kind of tainted the whole area. So it's been mostly abandoned, but there is an established trod that was used for years and years and years. So it might be a little bit overgrown, but it should still be safe passage for you. And
How far is this orchard from here?
In what unit of measurement? In
miles?
In miles? Oh, darling, the hedge doesn't work like that. Silly thing. Do you think someone's out there planting mile markers along the trod? So
I figured it would be. It's honest work. You're right. I'm joking.
Rumor has it. I mean, I haven't traveled there myself because, again, my wheels don't work well on rough terrain. But it's
circumstances.
Indeed, but it's a simple enough journey that the merchants who were raising the fruit there were able to bring it back on a daily basis to the market here. So I would estimate it be less than an hour's travel, assuming you have strong legs, which apparently you do.
Yeah.
Or good wings. And she smiles at Sky.
Okay.
If you're really worried about it, you could hire Wiko. He's a very good guide.
Is that the person we saw coming in?
Oh, the one with the 4 arms, a little short fellow?
Yes.
Yes, he's a little crazy, but he's a very good guide.
I think I can read a map. Okay. I don't want to pay anybody.
That's certainly understandable. So she slides the map across the counter to you guys.
And says, I'll bring it in.
And it's kind of, maps through the hedge are kind of like if you're in a really small town out in the middle of nowhere, it kind of reads like, take the left path out of the Goblin Market, look for the cluster of 3 big trees with the middle trunk broken, take a left, go 37 paces at the big rock with the moss on it, turn left, the one that used to be the marker for where the sign used to be for the Goblin Market, that one. Yeah, okay. So, and it's very convoluted, but it looks like it's probably, barring unforeseens, it's probably not that long of a walk at all for, folks with good legs.
I think we should go. Do we have any more information that any of y'all want? We can get this done soon.
The sooner the better.
The quicker the quicker we can go back home. Home is much safer.
Fantastic. I would love for you all, we're just going to sum up the travel here, see if anything nasty occurs along the way. So if you would all be willing to roll me, let's do this with wits plus survival. And if you have any appropriate blessings or specializations, feel free to add them in. And if you would just do me a favor and do me a favor, because you'll all be giving me numbers. So just hold up, a closed fist for no successes, and then however many fingers you have for successes. That way we can see it all kind of at a glance. Oh,
Gray.
Rickman. Poor Gray.
I have a -2. No, I've got a penalty for being untrained, correct? Or is it just 0?
Oh, because you don't have any survival.
Correct.
Let's see. So your penalty for physical traits is
Oh, that's just social. A penalty for just social.
you have a 2 penalty for social rather than a 1. You have basically double. It's doubly as hard if you don't have a social skill in it. And so physical, you're at a -1 for your untrained physical.
Still failed.
Still 0. Okay. 3. Okay. So as you're going through going along this path, following the kind of eclectic directions here, could you all please roll me a wits plus composure for your perception? Again, just hold up how many successes you had. Sky, you don't notice anything. You are so happy to be out of this market and on the trot again. You're on duty. This is fantastic. You're just tally-hoing. Rip and Pax, you both had 2 successes, right? You hear something in the hedge around you. Now, when we talk about going through the hedge, it is literally a endless bramble. It's not finite, and it's not concrete. You know that it is psychoreactive. So how you feel as you're going through it affects how it responds. You know that it moves. It doesn't have a sentience in the sense of like the hedge is out to get you, but it definitely is kind of the embodiment of growth and the chaoticness that natural things get when they're growing. So when I say it's off in the distance, you know, if you've ever been in a place where there's like blackberry brambles or that kind of thing, and you can hear a rabbit, but you can't see it because it's 10 feet away and there's too many brambles. You're hearing something big. It's too far away for you to see what it is yet, but there's something human size and maybe more than one something that's appears to be kind of not chasing you, but kind of tracking, just kind of keeping off to the flanks of where you guys are. How would you like to respond? You could go searching for it, although that'll take you off the trot. You could speed up your path. You could attempt to use some sort of a contract to determine what it is. Or there's all kinds of options.
Question.
Of course.
Out of game. What is an oath breaker?
An oath breaker is someone who has, you know how we were talking about those promises?
Right.
The supernaturally bound promises. It's someone who has violated one of those.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if you had refused her summons and refused to complete the favor for her, you would have become an oath breaker. And we would have gone into that. If you had started to head that direction, I would have given you a lot more information about the repercussions of it.
Gotcha. We can't, and you said can't see them, but we just hear them. Do we hear it? And do we hear them from like in front of us or behind us?
Behind and to the sides, like not directly behind on the trod. Whatever it is well off into the brambles, and it doesn't appear to be getting any closer yet. Just there's something out there.
We seem to be being tracked here.
Okay.
There's a few people behind, I think.
Lou would like to use Beast senses.
Very smart.
So that would be
Let's see.
3 plus 1, 4. And that would be 2 successes.
Okay, fantastic. So for all wit-based rolls related to perception, for the rest of the scene, you get 2 bonus dice.
Okay.
Or would you like to try to, being so you've just activated this, would you like to try to perceive it more clearly? Mm-hmm. Okay, so roll me a wits plus composure for another perception check.
Three. One of them was a 10. So
Fantastic. So roll that one again.
just 3 total.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. You can tell whatever they aren't moving like bipedal upright figures would move. You know, like this, it sounds different when a person is walking through the shrubbery than when an animal is. You definitely can tell that they are at least mostly going on all fours.
Okay.
And they're don't seem to be getting any closer, but they're definitely tracking you.
Just from one direction or multiple directions?
There appear to be one or more off to your left behind you and one or more off to your right behind you.
Like a pack.
Awfully much like a pack.
Yes. Okay.
Do we want to find?
I'm going to relay that to them.
So what do we want to do? Do we want to fight or do we want to continue moving forward?
Well, I think we continue moving forward.
If we don't deal with them now, will we have to deal with them later when it's possibly harder?
We don't want to get off the path either.
If they come to us, I guess we'll.
If they come to us, we knock some skulls.
All right.
Okay, so do you continue at the same pace that you were at, or do you hurry your pace a little bit?
I think we should keep the same pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So you continue. Give me one more wits plus composure roll, one more perception before you reach the Black Orchard. Nice. Whoa, go Packs. Oh, holy guacamole. Okay. So as you're going forward, you can tell that they're keeping the same distance from you. They're not going any faster. Rip, you suddenly realize that when after you said, I think we should just keep the same pace, something clicks with you and you're like looking out and you're like, oh no, I know what these are. And you, I'm going to send you a picture. You realize that in all likelihood, what you are being followed by are briar wolves. Briar wolves are, I'm going to drop this for you here.
Briar wolves. It had to be briar wolves.
Had to be briar wolves. They are, there's a lot of rumors about where they come from. Some people believe that they're what happens to changelings that get lost in the hedge for too long. Some people believe that there's some sort of a fey hybrid between a human and a wolf. But what everyone agrees upon is briar wolves hunt for fear. They don't hunt for hunger. So if they can get you started going, they will track you down. They will keep nipping at your heels and eventually at your guts and keep you running until you literally, your entrails are trailing behind you before they tear you to shreds slowly, because they don't care about your meat. They just feed on your fear. So you realize, oh, I made a really good decision here. And now your choice is, what about this are you going to communicate to your group?
So we keep moving forward. We don't look behind us. And whatever you do, don't turn around.
Which makes everybody want to turn around.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
Did you
That's
say
one of the reasons why I said that.
You are Autumn
No.
Court after all.
Just look and move forward, and we'll be fine.
Ahead of you, through the tops of the brambles, you can see some very, very tall, what look to be the tops of very, very tall trees, maybe 50 feet tall, that are they're not growing leaves or anything like that. The wood has become black, and in the top of one of them, there's a big like structure, like bowl like concoction of twigs and branches and that kind of thing, and it's you've gotten pretty much to the edge of the black orchard now. And as you continue forward, is anybody going to look back, scream, turn and run, anything against what Rip says? Or are you going to follow Rip's directions?
So I remember you saying something, and I don't know if it's in character or out, but
that's fine.
That the brambles themselves can feel our emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're psychoreactive. Yeah,
psychoreactive. So Pax is kind of like, humming, Age of Aquarius and like the sunshine in, and
I'm so zen.
Just trying to keep the brambles all kind of like chill.
Yeah.
At the same time, when Pax gets nervous, so people don't know that Pax is nervous. So there's a term, I'll use barking spider instead of the word fart, but so farts rainbows, and it just is lovely. It's lovely. And it just relaxes everybody, and it just, there's no fear, and it just permeates like. But it's lovely. It's lovely.
It's lovely. It's
just, you know,
you just put Julie, and now it's rainbows.
It's rainbows, and right. So thank you for telling us not to look back. That really sort of incited the barking spider sort of thing that I have going on here with the rainbows. So we keep moving forward at the same pace in a rainbow swirl of calm brambles, I hope. I mean,
apparently, you know what briar wolves don't like? Rainbows. As you start to walk closer to the orchard, the presence of whatever it was that Rip is not telling you about slowly starts kind of falling away. It's just not. It's letting you outdistance it. And you find yourself at the gate of the orchard. It's a large wooden cross-cut gates like you see around a lot of stereotypical farms. The gate itself has fallen over. What on the other side of it, there's a hollow, and a hollow is a part of the hedge where changelings or hobs or true fae have basically exerted enough of their own willpower and concentration and effort and glamour into an area to kind of stabilize it, so they can use it for things like residences or like the area where the goblin market is a very large hollow, kind of a communal hollow. This was obviously kind of a farming hollow at one time. There's some raised beds. There's some what look to be about the size of blueberry bushes, maybe 4 or 5 foot tall. There's some tall trees that don't appear to be like fruit trees or that kind of thing. They're like what used to be maybe evergreen trees of some sort. But everything looks like somebody took some thin ink and just splattered it all over. It's just dismal and black, and the plants are kind of shriveled, and the what every once in a while you'll see a fruit hanging off a bush that just looks rotted and icky. It just, the whole place just feels not cool. It's obvious why people abandon this. This is not a place that you want to be for very long, and it's definitely not a place that they wanted to stay. And in the center of it, there are those that very tall tree that you saw. It's probably standing at the base of it. You can tell it's easily 50 feet tall. And in the crook of the branches right up near the top is a very, very large nest. Rip, you figure you could probably lay in that nest and stretch your arms out and not touch either side. So the rest of you could kind of, just have a party in there and it'd be fine. There don't appear to be any signs of birds at this point. In fact, there's a decided lack of birds, Sky notices. Not even the normal kind of little hob birds that you might see along the hedge route. And you realize that you haven't seen any of those for maybe the last 4 or 5 minutes of walking, whereas they had been kind of ever present along the way when you were making your way to the gate or to the Goblin Market, and as you were making your way from the Goblin Market here. Where would you like to go first?
Sky has, I've been reading it. There is a contract of tongues of birds and words of wolves. You said there were no birds, though. We haven't noticed them in quite some time, right?
Couple minutes walk. You could easily double back, but there's the briar wolves.
Yeah, Sky's not looking backwards, but I would like to try and maybe walk a little more forward to see if there are any birds that I could make a contract with.
Sure, definitely. As you're going, so the area that you're in, you know that you can't see very far where you are. You can kind of just see the trod forward, the trod back, at least to the point where it takes turns and that kind of thing. But there are some trees here, and if you got up in the tree, you would be able to see a lot further and maybe call out to one.
Yeah, Sky would climb the tree if she knew that she could glide back down and not get hurt.
Yeah, no, you know,
the Sky.
Yes, exactly. You know that you can spend a point of glamour at any point to glide in the air for up to a minute at normal speed, so just as fast as you could walk. And you know that because you have wings, that you take a whole lot less damage from falling if you were to just fall and not be able to glide. You know that you've done it before. You've fallen out of third-story building windows. Fell, jumped, admit it.
Okay. So yeah, she'll climb to the top of the tree, and in a kind of like a needy, I don't know if empathetic is the word, but it's part of her contract.
Yeah.
Like a little whistle.
Mm-hmm.
She will whistle out above the treetops, and I have to spend 1 glamour, and I have to roll weird and animal kin.
Fantastic.
So let me write down my 1 glamour. Okay, I have 3 left. Okay, so my weird is 1. Weird and animal kin is 2. Okay. Okay, I got 1 success.
Fantastic. That takes you about 15 feet up the tree. And as you're looking around, now that you're kind of above the local brambly areas, yeah, you can see there's some what looks like, they kind of look like songbirds, but not songbirds that you would see in the the mundane world. Their tails are really really long and form like treble clef signs, and they've got a really really sweet song. And there's a pair of them. There, it looks like maybe one of them is trying to impress the other one, and they're kind of dancing around at the top of one of the trees a little bit further away. And when you kind of whistle to them, the one that is trying to impress the one ignores you completely, but the one that is he is trying to impress is like, and comes like, and it approaches kind of cautiously. It lands on a branch fairly near you, but is definitely paying attention to the carrion crow nest up above you. And let me see real quick here exactly what the thing does. Okay, so you can speak with all kinds of birds for the rest of the scene. Fantastic. So it kind of looks at you and looks at your wings and looks up at the carrion crow's nest and is kind of like, why are you here? This is a very dangerous place to be.
What? Why is it dangerous?
The big birds.
Where are they?
They hunt. They come back when the sun goes down.
So they're out right now?
Yes, it's daytime.
Oh.
They're always out at daytime.
Oh, thank you. I have friends down below, and we're actually
Those aren't
on
birds.
like a, no, they're not, but they're my friends, and they also are on a mission, but we're kind of like on a blackmail story kind of thing for this lady, and we're looking for some crows, and maybe some crows who might have eaten up a passerby and took his necklace.
They eat everything, and they take everything. They like everything that's shiny.
Do you know where they might be?
The birds? Well,
Yeah, do you know where they live?
In the nest.
What nest?
That the one right there at the top of this tree.
She looks up and is just like, whoosh, like, what?
This bird is looking at you like, oh my goodness, this is the silliest bird I've ever seen. She doesn't even know what a nest is. No wonder she has friends who are not birds.
They live right there?
Well, I mean, at night.
Oh. And Sky's like, what did I get myself into? And she'll say, thanks. That's more information than I thought I needed. But I think he's trying to flirt with you.
Oh, yes, I know. If I pretend to ignore him, he'll build me a bigger nest.
Oh, you get people to build you nests? Or birds?
Of course.
Sky's completely dumbfounded. Thank you. I better go talk to my friends. That's where we lay
our eggs. Okay.
And Sky just looks at you like, what? And Sky is not going to waste any time with gliding. She's going to climb the 15 feet down to the ground.
Okay.
And she is going to relate all of that, but very like mumbled and jumbled and erratic, and just keeps pointing up as she tries to tell them, big birds here, nest, and just point up.
Your bird friend goes back to her little flirting session.
So up we go?
She said they're gone in during the day, so maybe we could go have a look-see now, quick.
What time is it?
Oh, it's about noon.
Okay.
You guys met in the morning, and and spent your time at the Goblin Market and then here. Yeah, it's probably noon. I mean, you guys know that hedge time is kind of wibbly wobbly, but this, from what you can tell, you can't really see the sun overhead, but there is like lights and it's full on lights. Like it's not even close to starting to gloaming or anything.
Climb a tree?
I mean,
Okay.
can
yeah?
can Rip look around and see if there are like big black feathers sort of on the ground, or if there's anything
sure.
like that
Yeah,
around?
definitely. If anybody who'd like to do some searching around on the ground, go ahead and roll me a wits plus perception. Add in if you have any sort of specialties, even though we're not using those skills, if you have any sort of specialties that are directly related to plants or the hedge or birds or that kind of thing, just let me know what those are and we'll probably throw you in an extra die for that.
So that's wits and weird, right?
Wits and composure.
For like a perception.
For perception.
Wits and composure,
yeah.
excuse
Wits
me.
plus
Okay.
conception. Yeah. Weird quite often gets used as a stat when you're trying to activate contracts because contracts are powered by weird. So
so that's 2 successes.
2 successes, fantastic. You're looking for like big bird feathers. There's definitely there's definitely a couple of them scattered here and there. They look like they're probably about this long. They're kind of scraggly and draggly, and so some birds with black feathers have like that beautiful iridescence, and they actually are like super cool colors and that kind of thing when you start looking at them in the sunlight. Yeah, these are nothing like that. They are, if you were going to describe the color, it would be ichor. They're not actually sticky or wet, but they really look like they should feel like that if you touch one. They're bedraggled and not good. They look like they came from a sick animal.
Not what I was expecting.
You rolled a 6. Fantastic. What are you looking for in general? Are you just kind of looking around, seeing what you see, or are you looking for something in particular?
Okay. Is there any shinies laying about? Things like that. Ooh. Any signs of fighting? What do I see?
There's no real signs of fighting in the area. In fact, it doesn't look like many things have been on the ground in this area in a long time. What you do see, you're looking around, you see Rip picks up a great big bird feather, and you're like, okay, well that's icky. But you see something small and red, and like bright, like hollyberry red. And when you go over to check it out, it's actually a healthy goblin fruit. It's a tiny one, but there's a healthy goblin fruit here. And you know that some of them, like I said, some of them have supernatural powers, but they're always good for at least giving you a glamour back.
Right. Pick it up.
Okay, fantastic. Did anybody else get any successes on their perception?
Gray had 2, and he was hoping to see if he could find the dead body of the woman, possibly if she's still there.
Yeah, no. You would remember from the story that you Melusine told you that the reason that you're at the orchard is because that's where they think the creature took the necklace to. But you get the feeling in her telling the story that this was not something that just happened like this week or anything. This was a little bit ago, and the people that found the body probably took care of it.
Up the tree?
I'm sorry, what?
Climbing.
Yes. Is there any discernible safety guy? Is there any discernible footholds or any like safe way of making it up the tree, or
What you do
Right.
notice is there are, from hanging from some of the trees, there's some ropey vines, and they might be really helpful in helping climb up that tree if you want to harvest them down.
Yeah, I try and make sure the most safe way to get up there.
Fantastic. Okay, that will give you a +1 bonus for that. Pax and Sky, did either one of you get any successes on your perception, and do you want to look for anything?
I did not roll because
you're not looking around.
Well, I don't think I had any I didn't find my little dot things in perception.
Oh, okay. So sorry, I should have explained that a little bit more clearly. So perception is just a check, and the stats that you use to do that check are wits and composure. It's kind of unusual.
Oh.
Usually you use an attribute and a skill, or an attribute and a trait like weird, but perception is unique, and it uses wits plus composure. So everybody can always do perception. You can always look around. 1 success. Okay. Was there something in particular you were going to look for?
Any sign that this is the like that there are birds, the crows are actually nesting in the nest above us, and that it's not an empty nest.
Sure. As you are poking around kind of at the base of the tree, you find a shard that's about this big of what appears to be an eggshell. The outside of it is black, just ichor black, like the feathers were. And
like a baby shell?
Like a baby bird shell. But you can tell by taking a look at the size of the shard that you find, and how light of a curve that it has, that this egg, when it was whole, was probably bigger than a bowling ball, bigger than an ostrich egg. Not human size, but big enough that maybe like a toddler size fledgling could fit inside it.
What kind of birds are these? Alicia wants to know that, but Sky tells everybody that they make really big birds. This is a baby bird egg. She's so blown away by how big this piece of bird egg is.
Can I try to use Mind Finder?
Oh, let's see.
I would know the direction to any target, and if you let this go, the catch is a lock of hair from the target with the feather potentially. Would that be considered?
Clever adaptation. I am going to give that to you just because I was so clever. Yes. So
I would know if I would thank you. I would know what direction the target is in. Really, what I'm looking to know is there's something in that nest.
Oh, okay. So go ahead and roll me survival plus weird.
Okay.
And
that is 3 total.
Okay, and I got a 7, a 5, and a 2. So they're
so I got 110. Reroll that. So only 1 success.
Okay, that is enough. The thing that this feather came from is that away. It's like if you were to continue on the trod, yeah, you can't tell how far away, but it's definitely not straight up.
Okay. I'll kind of relay that as we're getting closer to climbing. As far as I can tell, we're clear for right now. Except for the songbirds, I guess, maybe.
Okay.
But I think those
so we're gonna go into some.
Oh, sorry.
So we're going to be No, you're fine. Role play always beats mechanics. When you guys are ready to start climbing the tree, we're going to do something called an extended action. So this is one of the kinds. There's instant actions, which are basically like your contracts. You can do one of those per turn. There are reflexive actions, which don't take up your instant action. So usually they're like a response to something, or like you Hulk out because somebody's hitting you, defensive kind of stuff. And then there's extended actions, which is, whoops, this is saying my connection's unstable. So if you guys can't hear me, please make sure you like let me know so I can go over stuff again, okay? So what we're going to do is you're going to need to get a total of 5 successes to reach the top of the tree. And what you're going to be rolling is your strength plus your athletics. If you took some of those ropes down or took ropes from Gray, you can add 1 to your roll, run 1 extra die to your roll dice pool for equipment.
I would have him out no matter what. He would have been like the Boy Scout, like, take your rope. You got
Take your rope. Don't go anywhere without your rope.
And then try and give him some horror story about like, hey, this one time they fell and they couldn't get up for like 2 days. Like, you don't want that.
Remember, we're not supposed to be fearful.
I gladly take her rope.
Seriously, my rainbow supply is really kind of like, yeah, it's getting a little rough.
I didn't want to say what they were because I didn't want anybody to be scared, but never mind. I take the rope.
Okay, so on the first turn, go ahead and roll your strength plus your athletics. Add an extra die in if you have if you've taken the rope, and then also if you have either a blessing or a talent that affects strength or whatever I just said, sorry, strength or athletics, or if you have any specialties that you think apply, go ahead and add an extra die for those. And then show me how many you got on your first roll. So this will be like the first 5 minutes that we spend climbing the tree.
So
Lose like
Can I spend I'm going to spend a glamour, I should say, to improve my dice pool for anything that involves strength, brawl, or intimidate. So in this case, I'll use strength.
Fantastic. That's great. And you can spend up to 1 glamour per turn at your word. Weird.
I could use brawl. That's 4 extra dice for me.
No, he's doing it because he's using strength.
Okay.
The challenge is strength and athletics.
That's my bless. I can spend glamour as part of my blessing to improve one of those. So that's going to be.
I rolled 6 dice and only got 1 thing, but it's a 10, so I get to roll it again.
Yeah,
I just got another 10.
Woo!
That's 2 10s.
Fantastic.
That's 3 10s.
Oh my gosh. Sky's a little hesitant to start, but when she gets going, she's like, I love climbing.
I might take this dice into my actual D&D game.
2.
Oh man, that's a 5. I got 3.
Okay, fantastic. Did anybody get 0 successes?
Oh wait, I can roll 1 more. Hold on.
Okay, good.
Because I forgot to add. No, still 2.
Okay, fantastic. So you guys keep track. Your target number is 5 successes. I'm going to roll something real quick here.
Oh no.
Nope. Okay. So you can. That was your first 5 minutes struggling to get climbed. Go ahead and roll again, and give me your total successes. The first roll plus whatever you get on the second roll.
Oh.
5. Awesome. Lou's made it to the nest. Fantastic. Pax has made it to the... You've only gotten 1 total so far, Rickman? Okay. Gray doesn't really want to go up here very much, I don't think.
No, he's just thinking about old stories.
He just wants to scare all of us. He's like, I'm going to scare them as they fall.
And Alicia, how many successes did Sky get for their second roll?
4.
So, okay, so you got a total of 6 now?
7.
7. Okay, fantastic. So Lou and Pax and Sky, you guys are all in the nest. The rest of you guys can go ahead and Rip and Gray, you can go ahead and make your next roll while I describe what they're seeing, because this is you'll get there probably the next round, unless you flub really bad. So Lou and Pax and Sky, when you come up over the rim of this nest, it is probably 20 feet across. I mean, it's huge, and it's kind of a big bowl-shaped. It built out of sticks, but when I'm saying sticks, like some of the sticks are like this big around. They're really really big. And there's all kinds of bits and bobs in here. You can see that there's some of the same feathers that Rip found down below that have been woven into it. There's bits of cloth and hair, fur, all kinds of like things that would make nest padding. There's some rotten goblin fruit. There's pieces of metal and stuff like that. What do you want to do with your first turn here in the next?
Search.
Search. Okay, fantastic. If you would like to search, roll me a wits plus composure for your perception. If you have something applicable that you want to throw in there, please feel free to. Okay.
I wrote 2 10s.
One success.
I'm rooting around in a bird's nest, and I am a bird. Do I have like animal kin to like root around how birds would maybe store or hide things?
100%. I will definitely give you an extra bonus die for that.
I just add 1, right? I don't need to add the 2 from the kin. I just add 1 extra for the idea.
Right. Yes,
Got
exactly. 1 for the specialization.
3 successes.
Delightful. And Blue,
I
what
got
are you
1.
looking for?
I'm looking for the locket.
For the locket. Fantastic. You see a gold chain that has gotten wrapped around one of the branches, and there is there's a pendant hanging from it that's gold, and it's got a blue-green stone in it. Looks like it's pretty tightly wound around this branch, but it sounds like what Melusine described. Who else? Pax, what you got? 3 successes, fantastic. What are you looking around for?
Well, I'm looking around for the same thing. I'm
Okay.
looking for the necklace, but I
Fantastic.
see who just had the necklace? Who?
Lou just spotted it.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So we're both kind of eyeing it. Actually.
Nice.
And because
Fantastic.
it's all like scrambled up.
Yeah. Definitely.
Now becomes how do we? In my head, I'm kind of thinking, oh my gosh, how are we gonna pull this thing out of here? And yeah, I'm wearing my very old, ancient from another world, passed down to me, big, like emblem thing. This big chain. At the end of the chain is the prince who was formerly Prince symbol.
Oh,
that actually might be able to root around and help dig it out. Yeah.
Very clever. Okay, we'll go to trying to dig it out with the next round. Sky, did you get any successes on your perception? You got 1. Were you also looking for the locket, or were you looking for something else?
Looking for anything that was shiny. So she didn't have the locket in mind.
Okay.
Just shiny things.
I have something that I think would be of particular interest that Sky might have seen. There are a pair of eggs. They're black, they're icky, they're whole, and they're probably about the size of, a good sized beach ball. About yay big. You could probably carry one of them, not due to heaviness, but just due to bulky size and stuff. They're about yay big. And they're kind of in a little corner of the nest that has extra like stuffing inside of it and that kind of thing, kind of cradled in their own little kind of sub cubby of the nest.
Would it fit in Sky's satchel that she carries to deliver all of her messages and whatnot?
I think you could probably get one of them in there.
Sky wants to take one home as a pet.
Okay, let's so you have found those. Let's go back to the two folks that had not gotten up to the nest yet and see how did you guys do on your rolls. What are meet your, so you're still at 4 successes altogether, Gray? Okay, fantastic. You really don't want to go up there. Rip, you pop up over the edge. You see the things that that I described earlier. You see Lou and Pax kind of like focusing on what is probably the locket, and you see Sky kind of looking at her satchel and then looking at what appear to be 2 very large bird eggs. What do you do?
I'm gonna look at Sky, and you're taking that with you.
Why not? I'm a bird. It's a bird. Maybe I can be its mama. Or I can eat it.
You do you. Can I sort of kind of glance around, not in the nest, but sort of having this higher perception, a higher aerial view? Mm-hmm. If anything is sort of coming our way, or if there's it.
Yeah, you're just kind of looking out going, I mean, you have literally the crow's nest view of everything. You see way off in the distance, probably as far as the goblin market was back. You see what might be a bird. It's really far away. I mean, it's like tiny little speck, but it's obviously flying. So if it's not a bird, it might be some sort of a hob, or can't really even tell how big it is or anything, because you really don't have anything tangible to judge it against. But yeah, you're pretty sure you see a bird.
I'm gonna relay that to the party. The fact that bird that I see is far away, which means it's going to be really big as it gets closer. Let's go. Did we find it?
We found it. It's wrapped up. We got to get it undone.
Okay, Gray, would you make me another roll, please? Your strength plus athletics. Yay! Sky finally hops over the edge of the nest, kind of looking around like, what now? What do you do, Sky? I'm sorry, what do you do, Gray?
Since he's the healer type, I've imagined him, he's not the most conventional healer. Like, he's got like a bag of stuff to use. I'd imagine him being one of those, like, I have a saw in my bag kind of
stapler.
Like, anytime to see if I could use help with the saw to maybe cut loose the thing.
Totally cool. Does anybody attempt to stop him or interject or anything like that? Or are we just going to go straight to him trying to cut the branch off? Okay, fantastic. Go ahead and give me, let's see, what would be appropriate for this? There we go. There is Gray. Give me how about a dexterity plus crafts? No, let's see. Physical and how about give me a dexterity plus, you're using your saw, so give me a dexterity plus weaponry.
Okay. Okay.
And you can, because of your blessing, you can spend a glamour to get 9 again instead of just 10 again on your pools, including dexterity, if you want.
I've got 110. Just 1 success.
Okay, fantastic. You're sawing away on it, no problem. You think might take me maybe 1 more turn to get through the branch, assuming that you're trying to like not break the chain and things like that. If you want to just tear through it and don't care about whether you're doing damage to it, you can be done with it this round or this turn. What would you like to do?
I would look at the group and I was like, well, she needs the amulet portion of it, right? She doesn't care about the chain. She can go get a new chain at the market. Do we quick this up, or can we wait? It's up to you guys.
I'm down to break it if we just need the stone.
Just break
But
the
I still want
chain.
this egg.
Nothing
Okay.
else.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can hold on to the actual part of the stone while I try and break it from the chain, not to drop it from
Sure.
the.
Or
Totally.
I can actually, I can help with that, and I'll
Okay.
put my hand and grab sort of the stone, which
Hold
probably
it to-
envelops the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I'm doing that, I'll tell them about a story of the time I had to cut someone's arm off because of a.
No, focus. I fight with my hands.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, you have no problem. The chain breaks, leaves a little bit of links behind, but you've got the locket. Rip's got it in his hand. Sky, are you going to pick up one of the bird eggs and try and put it in your satchel?
How far away is that bird in the sky
It's
first?
really hard to tell because you don't have anything really to judge measurement by, but it's closer. It's bigger than it was the first time that Rip noticed, and you can tell that it's dark colored, and it appears
Sky begins to have a secondary
towards...
judgment. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So as Sky looks up, as Rip kind of told her, "You do you, boo boo." She'll look at the egg, look at her satchel, put her hand up under the egg, look at the satchel, look at the sky, and just rub it and whisper at it. "I wanted you, but I shouldn't keep you. I don't want your mommy and your daddy coming after me." She'll kiss it, and then she will say goodbye, look at Rip, and say, "Fine."
Okay, I just
And
officially fell in love with Sky, like Sky egg whisperer.
So did I, and now Rip feels really bad.
Okay, so are you going to take any more time looking around the nest, or are you going to attempt to make your way back down the tree?
I think we head out. No.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Going down is easier than climbing up. Oh, yes, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have to do this now. Jeez. Can I be the last to go down? And is there any way for me to grab the egg really quick and then try to make my way down?
You definitely can try.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
but what if you
take the
break
egg.
it?
You don't know that I have it.
I know, but now I'm scared because Sky has a satchel. What does Rip have?
Rip has his hands.
That he fights with. The streamers are like, "What is going on?"
Okay,
I know.
so we're going to because climbing down is a much less, you get much less chances to do it slowly at your own pace. So I would just like for you each to roll a dexterity plus athletics. Let me know if you have any, or if you have any appropriate, if you have like Gray has the spin glamour to get an extra thing, you just go ahead and add that in. I feel like you guys have a good feel for this so far. So just, and then tell me if you hold up your hand if you get no successes, because if you get successes, you manage to make it down. All I really need to know about is whether you don't.
Do we get the rope additional?
Yep, definitely. Wow. Okay. Sky, you're really good at this.
I had 8 altogether to start with.
Holy guacamole. Okay. Oh, Gray. Yeah. Oh, Gray. Okay.
3 5s and 3 and a 2. Yeah.
Oh,
nope.
dear. Okay. Dear Gray.
Yep.
Let's see. We are going to, I would like for you to roll me. Let's see how we're going to do this. So you were the last one up, and as you start coming down, you lose your grip. You're like so worried about this rope that you're counting on to help you get that down. You've been talking up these ropes and the safety equipment, and the vine just gets a little bruised and starts oozing a little bit of sap, and your hands are clenched around it, and you just slip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give Lou and Pax and Sky, because Rip is still up in the nest, I'm going to give them all a chance to attempt to grab you or that kind of thing on your way down to help slow your fall or break your fall, if they would like to do that. If
How many
so,
what do we roll?
okay, go ahead and roll me because you're going to be trying to stop him, give me a strength and either athletics or brawl, depending upon how you're going to go about it. How gentle you're going to be. If you're going to be a gentle, use athletics. If you're just going to use brute strength, go ahead and give me a brawl.
Brute strength it is. More chances.
Awesome. Fantastic. And if you get any successes, just raise up your hand and show me how many successes you got. One success. Great.
Five.
Okay. And
Hey.
Sky, did Sky get any
And
successes?
3 of them were 10s. So
Oh, good. Explode those out. Yeah.
6.
Wow. Okay, so this is amazing. You guys, like, Gray's feeling like he starts slipping and he's like, oh, that is a long way down. What happens is Pax happens to reach out and just barely nudge him with their sunflower, and Sky, that moves them within Sky's wing range, and Sky's able to just like flap long enough to kind of boost them back towards the tree, and Lou reaches out with one clawed hand and just snags them out and slams them. Whoop, lost my headphones. Slams them into the tree trunk and kind of just holds them there against the tree trunk. So Gray, you have just gone like a Harlem Globetrotter basketball trick. Whoop, 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 blam. And you find yourself face first against this icky tree trunk, but you haven't fallen. From there, you can proceed down. Gray, we're going to have you take 2 points of damage from that, which is much less than you would have taken from falling the whole way. So all in all, pretty good call. Now, so you guys have all made it down to the point where you can pretty much safely drop to the ground. Rip, now comes your turn. So you're going to do exactly what with the egg? Oh, you're...
Sorry. I'm just going to try to like palm it, so
like
to speak.
Like a football?
Like a football, exactly.
Okay.
And try to climb down this tree.
Fantastic. Why don't you give me a Dex plus Athletics? I'm
Okay.
not going to let you have the equipment bonus because you're going to have a hard time managing the rope and the egg.
That is completely understandable. That is...
The minute you touch the egg, there is a caw from the distance. The bird is still quite a ways away, but it's like you pick it up and it lets out, you guys all hear this nasty corvid sounding. You get 1 success. Fantastic. So that is going to, because the egg unfortunately puts you at a negative because you're having a trouble with that. I'd like you to make one more roll of that to see if you can catch yourself on the way down, because all the rest of these guys are further down than you are. So give me another Dex plus Athletics, or just Dex plus Athletics to try and catch yourself. And that's going to be... Oh, no?
Oh, no.
Okay, so you have a choice at this point, Rip. You can either fall from about 40 feet up the tree, and you know that's going to hurt you quite a bit, or you can drop the egg and catch yourself. Or you could come up with something else if you'd like.
Okay, this might be a stretch, but let me see if this will work.
Pitch it to me.
Can I somehow spend a glamour point and use Pursuer's 7-league jump to try to, if my foot catches on something, to try to bounce back and grab something.
Grab
I don't know
something.
if
Okay, let me take a look at the leap
I
great
don't know.
distance up or across. You know what? I am going to give you an opportunity to try and do that.
Okay.
The pool for that is athletics plus weird, but you're going to be at a penalty if you're trying to hold on. If you're trying to do this while still holding on the egg, you're going to be at like. Let me see what I. You're going to be at a -3 penalty, so you're down 3 dice, or you're down any successes that you're down 3 dice. So take 3 away from your dice pool for that.
That's my total.
So you can still, there's always the opportunity, even if you have a dice pool of 0, there's something called a chance roll. So you can attempt to roll a chance roll. However, 10s do not explode with a chance roll. So you can try to make a chance roll if you like, but you have to get an 8, 9, or 10 just on the straight single roll.
Okay. Let's see what happens. So I got a 9.
You got a 9. Fantastic. So you're just happening as you're falling and you're flailing, you're trying to keep this thing in your arm, and you're just like, whoa, you're about, I know you plummet past the rest of them. You're only about 10 feet from the ground. Your foot happens to catch on this gnarly old broken branch that was sticking out, and you basically bunny hop off of that and are kind of catapulting yourself over out to the ground to kind of make, and you're going to go ahead and take 3 points of damage from that, but you do manage to keep the egg intact.
Okay. That could have been a lot worse.
That could have been a lot worse. However, at this point, the bird lets out another really, really loud squawk, and it is getting very close. I mean, it's still maybe a turn or 2 away, you're guessing, but it's definitely not 15 minutes walk back to the Goblin Market. So you have a couple choices here. You can attempt to hide. There doesn't appear to be any buildings here that aren't pretty much broken down and just ramshackled at this point. You could attempt to tally-ho back trod the way that you came, or you could attempt to open a gate to get back to the real world. You can't open a gate in the hedge to get to somewhere else in the hedge, so you won't be able to get to the Goblin Market specifically, but you could open it, especially if you're attempting to go someplace that you've been recently, like the city park, or one of your homes, or that kind of thing. Or you could stick around and try and fight the bird. Or I'm up for other options if you have other suggestions.
So Pax has this blessing of persuasion.
Uh-huh.
We would really like to persuade Rip to like leave the egg behind. I'm seeing Sky kind of like, not kind of like wanting it, but then, not wanting it, realizing that there could be some danger. So I've got rainbows and unicorns coming out my boo-boo, and I'm really now trying to do some persuasion here.
Fantastic. So that is going to be a contested roll, which is great because we're getting a chance to use all the different kinds of rolls now. That's a contested roll between you and Rip. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll your manipulation, plus you could either use socialize or expression, whichever one you think is more appropriate in this, or if you're going to use a lie or deceit type thing, you could use subterfuge. So you tell me how you're going about this and what you think the best match for your skill is. And then Rip, you're going to be using composure plus, I would say probably plus your willpower, which is a trait. It is on the second sheet at the top on your character sheet.
Okay. So
assuming
that
that you want to try and keep it. That was how you would resist her,
Yeah.
manipulation.
Yeah.
So, and then you guys would just compare successes. Whoever gets the most success gets their condition. Sky, you also see he's come down and did that big bunny hop and stuff, and he's got one of the bird eggs under his arm.
Kaya's not happy. She's scared.
Three
She
to
wins.
2. Okay, so and what exactly are you trying to convince Rip to do?
So, so Rip, I think you really should leave the egg. There's a lot of squawking from that big, really big bird back there. That might be a mama bird or papa bird being protective. And I believe I heard Sky, think about the fact that the baby egg belongs to the mama and the papa. As much as she would have loved to have it, that she really wanted it left here. And the other thing is, we all don't want to die. You take that egg, that bird is going to follow us. I'm going to have all sorts of weird stuff coming out of my butt. And I can't. I don't have enough patchouli. I don't have enough flowers. And you want to love us all. You love us all. I know you do. I know you do. And you want us all to get out of here safely. So leave that big frickin' bird egg here and let's see how we can get out of here. What say you?
I don't know if you read my backstory or not, because I'm trying to pinpoint it here for what's given on these pre-generated. That last part really kind of hits home because typically nobody ever knows what Rip is doing or trying to be nice. So that one kind of really hits.
Nice.
He'll look at Sky really quick. Is this true? Do you not want this egg anymore? Because I don't want it. I was bringing it for you.
Aww.
Because I'll try to palm it back into the nest. I don't want this thing either.
I did want it, but then its mom and dad would be sad without it, and I don't want to be sad, but I don't want to die. So can we just leave it here like it fell out of the nest and magically landed in a bed of leaves? Could we make it a bed of leaves? It's so sweet of you to do that, though.
I will quickly do a bed of leaves, drop the egg, and can I try at that point to open up a gate to somewhere?
There's not a whole. So the problem right here is there's not really any archways or doorways or reflective surfaces for you to do that. You might be able to find one a little bit further back on the trod, the way you came.
Let's run. Let's go.
Do we sense the wolves still around?
Strangely enough, no. Once you kind of reach the orchard, they skedaddled.
Let's go.
Even they didn't like it here. Okay, so you
That's
guys,
not good.
this little egg in its little makeshift nest, and you hear another way closer, really loud caw. You see this thing is probably, I don't know, literally a ripstone throw away from the orchard at this point. So you guys are gonna skedaddle down the trod.
Yep.
If Rip sees like anything reflective or shiny or
Sure.
possible to make a portal, he will try to do that.
So? Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Does the gem count, like from the necklace?
No, because it's got to be big enough for you to pass through it.
Oh,
So
okay,
like your
okay.
mirror was perfect because it was full size, but this is just
Got
too
it.
small. You could probably climb through like a medicine cabinet mirror if you were climbing through it, but for the most part, it's usually like doorway shaped stuff. So you guys see the as you're just booking, one of you kind of glances back over your shoulder to check out where these birds are, and or where the bird is, and it comes down and lands like where the egg is, and it's obviously doing something with that. It does not appear to be chasing you. So are you guys just gonna book it back to the goblin market?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. You can, if you're not doing any other actions, you can move twice your speed in a turn. So I'm just going to assume that you do that all the way back to the market. So it takes you like, you're there in like 5 minutes because you've got fear on your heels basically. And thank you very much, Gray, for helping with that. And you get back to the market, and Melusine is waiting. She accepts the locket if you give it to her. Oh wait, I should check with that. Are you going to return the locket to or are you going to give the locket to Melusine?
I assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Given that we know the backstory behind it, I would give it to her. Yeah.
But Melusine is holding, I think it's Rip's terror in her pearl. Did that happen?
Yes, not his terror. His first, his memory
failure.
of his first failure.
Right, first failure. Thank you.
Mhm.
So should we try to get that back? I don't understand how that works. Like,
what you would have heard was that she basically made a bargain that she was willing to tell Rip something that he wanted to know in exchange for getting that memory. So their bargain was completed at that time, and both parties were had agreed to it. So you can attempt to try to re-bargain for it or that kind of thing, but that was what the bargain that he struck with her was.
no, man, dude put us in so much danger with that damn egg that we are moving on and giving her damn locket and getting the hell out of here. Like, I am all roses and sunshine and unicorns and popcorn and hot dogs, but like, it's time. It's
time to go. Okay. She thanks you very much. She when she actually gets the locket in her hand, she pulls out a ribbon and threads it through. When she notices the chain is broken, she threads this ribbon through and ties it around her neck, and takes the blanket that she always wears across her lap off, and slowly pushes herself out of the chair. And as she starts to stand, you see the mermaid tail that she had start to slowly split into humanoid legs. And she stands and looks kind of painful, but she has a huge smile on her face. And she turns to each of you and she says, "Thank you. Your favor to me is fulfilled. I am extremely grateful for what you've done for me." And you can feel, when she says your favor for me is fulfilled, you can feel the pledge that you all swore with her to give her a favor. You can feel that it's done, like you've been released from that successfully. And she turns, and she's got a very small box behind the counter. It's maybe yay size. And she takes out a few coins, and she hands one to each of you. They're just little copper coins, and they're stamped with a split tail mermaid, kind of like the Starbucks logo. And she says, "You can use this if you need me to find something for you. I still will charge you a price because that's what I'm in the business for. But should there be a time when you need information, even if it is extremely expensive information, I will find a way to make it affordable for you. Thank you very much." And she just slowly walking, holding on to, the counters and stuff in her shop, just all of a sudden, you guys don't really exist in her mind. There is nothing except for the fact that she is walking for the first time in you don't know how long. And that is the end of your quest. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you guys all for your role play, and how you the ideas and the spin that you put on everything was amazing for some people that were coming in with like pre-generated characters that you didn't make. That was fantastic. Do any of you have any questions, or I know we didn't take a lot of time outside of the adventure to do a lot of talk about mechanics or thematic elements or that kind of thing, but do you have any questions or anything you want to throw at me from before we all say our goodbyes?
Where can I buy all the things?
The Changeling books. So in order to run the actual game of Changeling the Lost, you're going to need 2 different books. You'll need what we call the blue book, which is, it looks like this. It's the World of Darkness core book. And what Onyx Path has done, because they have a whole bunch of different lines, so they have Changeling, Mage, Vampire, Werewolf, that kind of thing. For this edition, for the New World of Darkness stuff, they put all of the rules for what you'll need to know for any kind of a character type. So how to run, how to climb, how to investigate, how to take damage, all those kinds of things are in this book. So they didn't have to reprint it in each one of the game line's core books, and they could concentrate on the stuff that was unique to that game line. So you'll need this book, and it's about $19.95 for a PDF of it from DriveThruRPG. You could also get it in a softback and maybe a hardback. I'm not really certain. And then you'll need at least this book. We've been running, sorry, it's reflecting, Changeling the Lost. It also is about $19.95 from in PDF form from DriveThruRPG. And I can get you guys the links in the Cohort Discord room. There are, Alexa, turn on my desk light. There are multiple different expansions for it. I think there's about 9 or 10 of them. You really don't need them to run the basic game, but they are a really good source for extra kiths, extra exploration of kiths and seemings and courts, extra contracts, more goblin fruit, more discussion about how to run certain kinds of games. We didn't even touch on things like going into people's dreams and doing dream shaping or battles into dreaming. That kind of thing. All that kind of thing is handled in different expansions, and those are also all available through DriveThruRPG, either in PDF form or most of them I think are available in softback, and some are even available in hardback. There's a pre-generated character packet that you can buy called Personae. That's one that I wrote for them, that is a motley of well-rounded characters that you can drop into any campaign. There's a couple of campaigns. I wrote one called The Rose Bride's Plight that is kind of a murder mystery campaign designed for Changeling the Lost. There's another one called The Fearmaker's Promise that was written, I think, by Chuck Wendig. And what we've been running is a very slimmed down version of the first edition of Changeling the Lost. There is a second edition that has some pretty significant mechanics changes to how they look at kiths and seemings. It adds in conditions, which is something that the first edition doesn't have. So they're 2 very different games. I'm more familiar with the first edition, so that's what I'm running for you. But yeah, if there's any other questions that I can answer for you in terms of like what book would be good for this, just hit me up. I'm happy to share any information that I have on that with you. Does anyone else have any questions? No? Okay, well, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and playing along with me and letting me introduce you to this. I really appreciated it.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay, I'll see you guys all on the other side. Bye.